This is so cool. Sabah al khair, Riyadh. Sabah al khair, everybody. I want to hear you guys. Come on. Let's bring the energy. We are in one of the most remarkable cities in the world for day 2 of the Forbes Middle East Women's Summit. We're so happy that you are with us because day 1 was absolutely incredible. Who was here yesterday? And how did you find it? I want to hear you make some noise according to how you found the summit on day 1. Yes, absolutely incredible. Honestly, I couldn't sleep last night from the amazing energy that I had from all of the women that took to the stage, the ones that I met all around the summit. It was phenomenal. And today we have so much more to come as well. So I'm super excited to get in here and to absolutely introduce our very first panel of the day. We're going to be hearing from the experts as they share how they overcame challenges through resilience and leadership. And so now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage somebody who I love so much, Samar Alshorafa, founding CEO at She is Arab. Brook and Sanad. Brook, CEO of the Sparkle Foundation. And your moderator, Hikmat, the Lens Master, visual storyteller, and podcast expert. Hikmat, the stage is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Such a great place. Thank you, Forbes, for this amazing summit. It's always a pleasure to be on a panel where we empower women. And the key is that we should always do that. Yesterday, I was here as well. And I'm with Hida Kawas, who is an opera singer and a musician. And she is saying something that in the Arab world, we have a lot of talent. And in other countries, they are kind of getting less and less of opportunities and talents. While we have undiscovered talents. And this brings me to our special guests, Samar Alshorafa and Sarah Brooks, who's both are CEOs. And Samar, she is Arab, which helps women get the workplace, to get into the workplace. By another name, she is Arab, and Sarah Brooks, the CEO of Sparkle. So it's Sparkle and she is Arab. It's like a jewel, it's like a diamond that is uncrafted. And this is what we have to look at our potentials in the Arab words. They are potentials that they are uncrafted and we need to believe in them and see where they can lead us. Thank you so much for joining. And Selma, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for this amazing introduction. Thank you.
Sano, I want to ask you a question. What steps can you take to provide women opportunities on the professional way?
Well, this question requires an entire, probably week or month or so of discussion. So I'm sure we're not going to be able to cover everything related to that question in just one sitting. But I can definitely talk about a number of issues that we can do. Women face so many different types of challenges in the workplace. They face structural challenges, they face organizational challenges, and they also face the cherry on top, cultural challenges as well. So if we look at from the structural perspective, if we look at regulations and laws and policies that actually prevent her from getting into the workforce, from actively participating or ascending to leadership. If we look at organizational issues, we can look at, toxic work cultures or stereotypes at work, or obviously inherent biases that we all deal with. And last but certainly not least is culture. And I think in the Arab world, this is the biggest challenge that women face. I cannot reiterate this more. Our norms, our traditions, our culture, they end up dictating what women can and cannot do. They exacerbate the situation because of the biases and stereotypes that sometimes we grow up with. So there's a lot that you can do. as an individual, as a woman, as a man, anyone, each one of us has a responsibility to do something wherever they are, in whatever position they're in. If you are in a leadership position, you need to, advocate for women alongside you at the workplace. You need to support them to get promoted. You need to provide them with the opportunities. And you and I, Hikmat, had a long conversation about this. We talked about equity. We talked about opportunities. It's not about, we don't have to keep saying equality, 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 but we need to really talk about equity as well. Give women the access to the opportunities and don't watch what they do. Give them the tools. They'll take it from there.
Yes, and we talked about the value that women bring to the workplace. That it should not be compared exactly what man is giving in the workplace. They both have value, but we should understand the what woman likes in general and her choice of choosing the careers that she likes.
I think it's important to understand that women lead differently, women operate differently, women bring in a lot of value to the workplace. They're more risk averse. They lead with a lot more empathy. There are so many advantages of having women in the workplace, and I don't need to bore you with the statistics, but actually every research that has been done has confirmed that having more women in the workplace, having more women in leadership positions actually increases company turnover and revenue and everything. I think it's a proven case, and in fact the opportunity cost of not having women in the workplace is what we're dealing with today, which is super low participation rates of women in the workforce, and this is definitely something that we need to address more seriously.
Definitely. Sarah, I mean, you have an amazing story. I want you to tell us about it. And that story is really life-changing. It changed Sarah's life into something positive. And me and Sarah, we were talking, why do we have to wait for a shocking moment to change our life? And this changed your life. Tell me more about this story.
Okay, I'll give you a 1 minute, if I can, overview. I pointed at a map when I was 18 and my finger landed on Malawi, and I decided to volunteer. And while over there, I had to have a life-saving operation. I got a twist in my bowel from eating too much of the local food, so I was rushed to hospital. They said they need to operate, but there was a 96% chance of HIV because they had no sterile equipment, and the only one doctor who'd never done the surgery before said he was prepared to give it a go. You can only imagine hearing that. I was unconscious, so I didn't know, but my friend said, what's the other choice? Go to a hospital 2 hours away, but she might die before she gets there. He took that chance, one I'm grateful for because I sit here in front of you today, but when he came to visit, he said, Sarah, when you're in the local hospital, there were 300 people waiting in the queue to see the one doctor. And when they saw you, because of the colour of your skin, you were prioritised to be seen first. And you were the doctor for 2 hours. When you came out, some of the people in the queue, who were children, died while you were being seen to. And that moment single-handedly changed the entirety of my life. I made a commitment at 18 to make a difference to one child's life. 15 years later, we've now got one of the fastest growing communities in the Middle East. I think everyone is striving to find purpose, and what Samar is saying is, like, if you have a feeling of belonging, especially in the workplace, the statistics show you're much more likely to be a part of it. And it's not through choice that I sit here thinking that I've helped everyone connect with their why, and we've been able to make a difference. And especially if you look at the world today, it's in a really dark place, and we're giving people hope. And yeah, I don't take anything for granted, not one single day. And like you said, don't wait for something like this. I sit here, I've had 7 near-death experiences, and by the grace of God, I'm alive. Please don't let that happen to you before taking that step, because you never know what tomorrow will bring.
Amazing. I mean, that's great. That's great. And this is the what we are missing is the lack of opportunity, and you saw with that in. With the children's so the effect of lack of opportunity is gonna change our life, positive or negative. What is the importance of the woman role in the humanitarian sector? How much values, how much power she has to give to the humanitarian workplace?
I think it's everything. I mean, they say it takes a village to raise a child, and I've witnessed firsthand. And I think it's not just surface level. You've got to look deeper than everyone says. Okay, so we do a lot of women empowerment, microfinance, but what's the next level of that? We've got all of our women now doing businesses, but then the problem is when they get home, they're now a part of domestic violence because they've been empowered with money, and their husbands no longer have control. So now we've solved one problem, but then potentially created another. So it's looking at everything holistically and realizing everybody, not just women. We're not going to solve gender equality by putting women just in a room together. We're not going to solve racial inequality. We've got to bring everyone together and all be part of the solution. And, you know, our youngest volunteer for Sparkle is 3 years old. She's a girl. She climbs mountains for girls' education. Our eldest is 83. He's here in Saudi, and he's in a wheelchair knitting hats for our kids in the winter. And I think there's a huge amount that's to be said about confidence and belief that you can make a difference, whether you're a woman or a man. But for females especially, we are the voice, and we have to remember that. And we've got a duty and a role to play to be that voice, not just for ourselves, for our own families, but for future generations, because there's millions of women out there who will never get the chance to sit on a platform like we do today. And if we can just do something and make one connection, who knows, the world will be a better place.
Yes, definitely. Yes, please. Yes.
I just want to say I totally agree with what you said, Sarah, especially the concept of bringing everyone together. It is really, you know, the power of the collective, as they call it, bringing everybody together to leverage this impact, this power, this innate power that we have. And honestly, what you've done speaks volumes as well about your own values. You know, you've taken this as a life mission. So I applaud you. I mean, I'm speechless now.
Yes, let's talk about well-being and how much the stress in the workplace and how woman mostly needs to balance between her professional life and her normal life, being a mother. How much also the stress and impact that will affect women in general.
Look, Hikmat, a lot of people ask this question about work-life balance for women, and I find it, you know, repeatedly mentioned. And I really think balance is a very personal thing. It's a different thing for everyone. That's number one. But also, I don't think it's a question of just work-life balance. You know, you just need to embrace your work, and it becomes really part of your life, right? It's just about a bunch of, you know, skills that you end up working to develop to be able to manage it. So everything from, you know, especially time management, being on top of that list, you know, to be able to juggle a million things, especially with all the expectations from our culture, you know, the responsibilities that are expected from us as women. Whether or not we are mothers, there's always an expectation of sorts, right? I see everyone smiling and nodding in the audience, so I guess I'm.
Yeah, but Samar, that's the point. You said it is the expectation. We always have a expectation from a woman to be the great mother and the successful woman in the workplace, and that's a big challenge.
It is, and that's why besides time management, you need to work on your resilience mindset. You need to constantly work on that. You know, you fall, you get up, you learn from what happened, and you just keep going. You need to embrace it by adaptability. So this, personally, adaptability is not just a skill for me; it's actually a value. I live by that because I apply it across the board in everything that I do. You adapt and you make it work. And obviously, I'm not saying you succumb to the status quo and you don't work to change it. You know, this is why I'm here today. I'm working to change it, and it's part of my work just to advocate and to raise awareness and so on. You need to be aware of, you know, the biases, the stereotypes, the cultural hindrances that face us all to get into the workforce or to ascend to positions that we aspire for, or not to get into, you know, male-dominated industries in some instances. So time management, key. Adaptability and having a resilient, you know, growth mindset. I'm actually now, I just decided to, at this age, at this point in my career, I'm doing my master's, you know. You keep investing in yourself, you keep developing yourself, and it just never stops. Learning and growth never stops.
And Sarah, like choosing what you love, what you want, how much that will have a positive impact on your well-being, you know, having the choice to really work in a place that you love and you have chosen.
Yeah, I think it's massive. We've got an office now in Dubai, and I was saying earlier to someone that we have over 100 people pretty much every week just walk in to the office and say, I'm here. Majority are women, and they've kind of had their children, want to get back on the career ladder, and they say, we want to do something, but we don't know what. And so much of it is linked to purpose. And we actually, during COVID, I think we've all got stories of what happened in COVID and what came out the back of it. And in the UK, I was trapped with my parents, truthfully trapped being the key word there, but forgive me. And we took everything online, and there was a thing called the UK called the furlough scheme, and it meant that employees were paid by their companies to work full time, but they could volunteer anywhere. And we ended up suddenly with 150 people volunteering for Sparkle, and it was great. The business just transformed, but when they had to go back to work, 27% of them couldn't return back to work because they'd realised working with a charity, they'd felt something that no amount of paycheck, no job title could actually give them. And I think as we saw with COVID, we realised that money will not solve the problem. No matter how rich we were, people were still dying from the wealthiest to the poorest, and it changed our perspective. And I think we said earlier, like, we're all born, and I hate to say it, but we're all going to die, and if we are going to go through that, at least die doing something we've loved. And it's not always easy, and as women, I think the biggest challenge we face is confidence, because it's that confidence to step out and be bold and to make a decision that actually I'm going to take something for myself. And I'm learning the tips. Even I just adopted a child from Malawi about 3 weeks ago, and I literally rang all of my friends who are mums. I was like, I have a new side of sympathy for you. I don't know how you manage. Like, it's a journey of discovery, and I think those expectations we put on ourselves is sometimes our biggest critic, because actually people realise we're not superhuman, we're not heroes, but actually just be honest, and who knows, we could be role models to other people if we're just honest and say, I'm not coping, like, help. And I think we need to nurture that type of safe space.
God, and perfectionism, you know, wanting to just do everything perfectly. You know, this is my biggest problem. I've been working on this for years, so
we can
fantastic.
convene afterwards.
But thank you for the sympathy as a mother of three.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, that's great. I mean, this was my question. What's your advice to women, you know, to have a better career and to reach to goals and places, and mainly you said it's be brave and
Yeah, don't always listen to everyone. I think when 2015, I stood at the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, and I was very fortunate. I was holding the microphone for Elon Musk, and he said to me, is this what you want to do with your life? And I was like, what's that? He was like, hold microphones for celebrities. I was like, absolutely not. I've got dreams of changing lives of children across Africa and the world. And he said, make your money first, because you'll never be a success in the charity sector. And last year I stood on the same stage where I held that mic for a sold out event for Sparkle, and I think my parents, my teachers, my friends all said, you'll never do it. And I think maybe as women more so than men, we have a tendency for that inner voice to hear what people are saying and follow that rather than our own intuition. And be brave. What's the worst that can happen? Honestly, we try, we make a mistake, we fail. Okay, at least we tried. And that's what I would say to anybody. And I try and encourage everyone just to be brave.
Samar, also, what's your advice? And your company is called She is Arab. What do you mean by it exactly? Why did you choose that name? And what you would give an advice to support women in the workplace?
Sure. I mean, She is Arab as a name, it was meant to instill pride, a sense of pride in being from the Arab world, in embracing our culture, in respecting our culture, in respecting our religions as well across the region. You know, when I call for, advancing gender equality or gender equity in the region, it doesn't mean that we have to, get rid of our norms and traditions and culture. Absolutely not. You know, it's all about evolving. You know, things, understanding how the world is changing, adapting to how the world is changing with absolute respect to our culture. And this was the point. And actually even the logo is all in Arabic calligraphy and so on. So hiya Arabiya, you need to be proud that you're an Arab woman, and we obviously need to work, put in a little bit more effort in getting more women into the workplace. And I think this is a call out for each and every one of you in this room. It's a personal responsibility. You know, if you have somebody in the workplace you can mentor or even take it a step further and sponsor, you should, yeah, sure. You should mentor or sponsor whoever's at the workplace with you, identify opportunities, share opportunities when you find them, open doors for women. And I know you mentioned now that men are going to soon be asking for gender equality for them for themselves. But I think we have a long way to go in the Arab world. Our workforce participation rates in the Arab world are extremely low. They're the lowest in comparison to other regions in the world. We're talking about 18.5 to 19%, and that includes women who are actively looking for jobs, so not even women who are employed, in comparison to a 47% rate worldwide on average. So we are not doing very well on that front. So this needs a lot of attention from each and every one of you, and you need to understand that there are overlaps across the board from all sectors. There's intersectionality. You need to look at what you can personally do within your capability, within your scope of work.
Yes, thank you so much. And I will add, just like what Sarah said, we need to believe. I think believe in our talents in our country, using the words Arab woman or Arab. The word Arab is very strong, and just believing in it, because it's a potential, it's uncrafted jewels that we need to work, all of us, to get there. It's a milestone, but it starts from the belief. Thank you so much. I'm very proud of you and proud of myself being next to you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the Forbes Woman. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samar and Sarah. And Hikmat, of course, who has been extremely busy across 2 different stages. Well done.